Welcome, welcome, guys, to another episode of the Spring Forward podcast. I'm your host, Spring Richardson-Perry, and today we have such an amazing guest with us, Miss Katie Santoro. In 2019, Katie was just burnt out, and this was right before the pandemic, and so you can probably imagine leading up to this, just how she was feeling. She left her corporate job. She was in the insurance industry and she started her very first business, which was a yoga studio. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, she had to close the doors to the studio, which we know a lot of people shut down their businesses just because we were inside. And so those businesses that were in person just simply couldn't sustain. But during that time, she started thinking about returning to work. And so she was like, do I want to be in the corporate world? Do I not want to be in the corporate world? What's going on? She started thinking about all the reasons why she left. And so she started to think this burnout cycle is just going to start all over again. So in the interim, she had been helping clients here and there as a freelance assistant. And so out came River City Virtual Assistants, which is her company, and is what we're going to be talking about today. And so help me welcome, guys, Miss Katie Santoro. Hi, Katie.
Hi, good morning, Spring. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited to really dig in today because we are going to be talking about adapting to change. And so, all these changes that you went through before River City Virtual Assistants and how those changes help you to really be successful. That's what I really want to dig into to give our listeners some inspiration about change and how change can be a good thing. So, let's dig right in. I want to start with your personal journey from experiencing the burnout in the corporate world to founding River City Virtual Assistants. What inspired this transition?
Um, the burnout inspired the transition. I left, so I started my yoga studio before I left my job, which definitely added to the burnout, right? I was trying to run a business, a very physically demanding business, and then I was also working full time. So it wasn't unusual for me to work 60, 70 hours a week between the two jobs. And the burnout, it's burnout, right? You put too much on your plate, you expect too much out of yourself. You can't reach everything that you're trying to reach, and you burn out. So this business came about. River City Virtual Assistants came about because of that. That's kind of what pushed the change. I knew that I couldn't live my life the way I was living it. And the one mantra that kept on coming back to me again and again was build a life worth living. And that's what I started to do.
That's awesome. And I think that's where I think the pandemic really helped all of us to kind of cipher through the noise, right? Because we had so much time to sit by ourselves at home and really contemplate what is important to me. What do I want out of this life? And
Yes.
that's where we saw a lot of these changes being made. And so I applaud you for taking the leap because so many people sort of get frozen with fear in that moment because change can be scary.
Yeah.
But I think if we embrace that and we really lean into that uncomfortableness, that's where we start to see the biggest success that we could never even imagine, right? And
Absolutely.
so,
And the pandemic had such a big impact on it as well. Had I left my job and there was not a pandemic, it had been about 6 months since I left when everything closed down. I don't know what my life would be now. I don't know if I would have this business. I don't know if I would still be running the yoga studio. I don't know how things would have changed, but because I had to slow down and really look at what was going on with me and how I could build a life worth living. And I had the time. I mean, I locked myself in my office for 6 months and started building this business. So it was a good time for me. I know it wasn't a good time for everyone, but it really was like a catalyst to the change.
and so when you're talking about closing down your studio, because that must have been really hard for you to really make that decision in the first place, right?
Mhm.
But in thinking about having to make that decision, how did that shape you entering the world of virtual assistants and like starting your business that you have now?
Yeah. So at first it wasn't a decision. It was what I had to do, right? We had to close the doors. It was the best way to be safe. I started teaching yoga from my office, which didn't give me the same connection. And it was just hard to stay connected with people. And we started losing members. I had a really good member base and we started losing members. And you know, I was going to go back to work. I knew that I had to pay the bills on this business and I wanted to go back, but I also knew that I couldn't go back to that world without burning myself out again. And my now husband wasn't my husband at the time, but he is my husband now because I did not go back to the corporate world. I firmly believe if I went back to that cycle of burnout, we would not be where we are. But it's true. I mean, I went to him, I said, I got to go back to work. I'm going to go back to the insurance field. And he said, absolutely not. You were a monster. Like, what else can you do? And I had been doing a little bit of freelance work and he was right. I was a miserable human. I had been doing a little bit of freelance work and I was like, I'm just going to run with this. This is just like, something is telling me to go in this direction. And yeah, so
Well,
closing the yoga studio was hard, but it put me to the next step of where I needed to be with this business and kind of like being out there and not knowing what the heck I was going to do next, only knowing that I had a vision for my life, allowed me to start to build the building blocks to get to where I wanted to be.
you are like inspiring me right now because I am in this transitional moment too, where I'm making some changes. Because for those of you who keep up with the podcast and who have seen previous episodes, my co-host Little Miss Winter is usually right here with us, but she recently just started daycare. And so now I can refocus and get back to business, get back to the business grind. And I miss my baby girl, but I'm also really excited about what this next phase is going to be. And so that's just really inspiring. And it's really, really, it's really, really, I guess I can't find the words, but I'm excited that your partner at the time was supporting you in saying, I don't want you to go back there. So let's figure out what you can do, how I can support you so that you can figure out what you want to do next. And I think, in any business person needs that community, that tribe, that support system that's going to say, hey, what do you need in this moment? How can I help you to achieve your goals and live the life that you set out to live? Because like I completely understand being in a space where it's paying the bills, but it's like, like,
It's not worth it, like there's the golden handcuffs in the corporate world and you've done all the things you're supposed to do and you're, paying bills and I had bought a house and saving for a 401k and like all those things you're supposed to do, but it's not where I knew I wanted to be. And
yeah.
I love change. I love transformation. I feel like every couple of years there's something that kind of calls me that's like, hey, like you need some transition here. And with this business, I'm 4 years in and I haven't gotten that calling yet. So I feel like I might have gone to where I need to be.
I love it. And I love change too. And I love the excitement of what's next, what's new, what can I do now because I've accomplished this and now I want to set a new goal for myself. And so I love that sort of change. But I think for you, this is wonderful because you've established this business and it is booming. And so I'm excited for you in that regard, but also in the sense that changes may happen within the business. Like you may have to pivot things in terms of how you offer your services or what services you offer. And just in that regard, not necessarily pick up and do something completely different, but that's one of the things that I really want to talk about your business right now is the change that you offer, right? Because in River City Virtual Assistants, you offer a flexible work environment for your people. And that's not something where we're still working towards that in the common workplace right now. but that's not something everyone is afforded. And so that's one thing that I truly love, because as a mom, like, if I'm going to work for somebody, which I don't ever see myself doing that again, but if I am, like, I need a flexible work arrangement. And so talk about how offering these flexible work opportunities, how that commitment to your employees, to your company, how that came about, and what impact are you hoping that it has in the lives of your team members?
Yeah. So the way it came about was, when I started freelancing, I got very busy. I found that there were a ton of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, executives that needed part-time assistants, and they needed people who were, they were reliable, they were consistent, they were tech savvy, they were intelligent, they could pick up on some of the bigger business things that the clients were trying to do. And I got really busy. I kept on sitting down to dinner every night with my husband, being like, I got a new client today. And he was like, you have to stop. Like, this is not what I meant when I said, like, go freelance. So I got really busy. And at the same time, I was watching my friends either leave the workforce or not return to the workforce, or really, really struggle in the workforce. It was COVID. Everybody decided to have babies. And then there was no daycare or
Decided.
day. Yeah.
People were at home and bored.
Yeah.
And
There was,
babies came.
exactly. This is how it always works, right? At any kind of natural disaster, we're going to have a baby boom. So, people that were my peers in different careers in my life, or different parts of my life, were leaving the workforce, were college educated or like very experienced in what they were doing. And they didn't necessarily want to go back to the grind, right? There's such this like strong like male energy in the corporate world that is like, go, 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 learn more, be more, get to the next step, do the next thing. And I think for women in any kind of, or for people in general, but it's usually women in any kind of caretaking situation, we can't always go, go, go and get to the next step. Sometimes we just want to we want to float, right? Like, we want to do what we're good at, and then we want to go home and do the things that we have to do. And it was the perfect opportunity to bring people in and say, hey, like, come work with me. I have more business than I can handle. I know you're smart. I know you can do this. Couple things that I, can teach you to help you do this. I can help you get more clients. Like, let's work together. So I just started bringing people in from my network. At the time, we got engaged a couple months into the pandemic, and we were talking about starting a family, and we had my mom who was coming to live with us. And I knew that I would need this flexibility. And that has not been how our life went. We are not having children. That window has closed for us. But, I still have my mom to take care of. And we had lost 2 dogs very quickly and ended up with 2 puppies, which is just never get 2 at once. But I knew that as I was structuring this business, I wanted it to be a business that allowed me to live my life that I wanted to, the way that I wanted to, and that would allow my team members to live their life the way that they wanted to. And then on the other side of that, by matching our assistants with clients who are trying to do the same thing, right? Entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. You don't leave the workforce to start your own business and then want to work 60 or 70 hours a week. You've left because you want the freedom of your own time. And you eventually reach a point in business where you need more help so that you can have that freedom. So by matching these skilled assistants with our clients, we give our clients the freedom and the flexibility that they need in their lives as well.
That is beautiful, because you are absolutely right. Nobody leaves the corporate world to go and work for themselves 60 to 70 hours when that's what they left. Now, a lot of times you're working, and if you're doing what it is that you really love as an entrepreneur, sometimes you may put in 60 or 70 hours and you don't even realize it because you're doing what you love. But that's my choice and my decision. Whereas in the corporate world, sometimes you don't have a choice. You got to do what you got to do. And it may not necessarily be something that you're passionate about. And so
and doing what you love and doing what you need to do to run a business are 2 completely different things, right? Like yoga. Love teaching yoga, great. But then there's the business side of it. There's the admin side of it. There's the cleaning side of it, right? So being able to hire someone and say, there's this aspect of my business that I don't love. It's not my zone of genius, whether it be billing or, keeping files organized or social media content, whatever you don't love, like you can outsource that to someone else so that you can put all your energy back into the parts of your business you do love, because that's what you're doing. That's why we're doing what we do.
Yeah, and that's what business is all about, right? It's understanding what your strengths are and leaning into your strengths, and
Yeah.
then getting someone else who can fill in the gaps for you for those things that you're not so strong at. There's someone else who is strong at it.
Yeah.
So let them do it. So I love it. And season 2 is all about community, and it sounds like you're building such a wonderful community in your company with your team, and I love it because, again, as a mom, for me, flexible work arrangement is sort of a non-negotiable. It's like if I gotta leave to go get my kid, I need to go get them, and I need you not breathing down my neck about when I'm coming back, or oh, this day is counted against you, I'm docking your pay, and this and the third. It's like so many things that go along with that. Yes, you get great salary, great benefits, and it's providing a lifestyle for you that is something that you envisioned. However, the trade-offs for it, right? Your time is not what you want it to be. And then it could infringe on your family time, even if you leave work and you go home and you're like, I'm leaving work at home, but especially if you're in leadership, it just doesn't work that way. So I just love the sense of community that you're building in your company, with your team members, and just the positive impact that that providing these flexible work arrangements can have on a workforce in the work culture. But I know, so I kind of want to shift gears here and talk about some of the things that you do, that River City Virtual Assistants offers. And so you have basic admin, you have content management, website building. What challenges have you faced when you're assisting your clients with these things? And how has your team adapted to meet those diverse needs of your clients?
So I think the biggest challenge that we face is, and it's an ongoing challenge, and I think we've come up with a pretty good solution to it, but just how quickly things change, how quickly technology changes. Looking at, the other day we were doing our best practices for LinkedIn, and we had to update everything because everything had changed. And we just did it 6 months ago. Like, it's not like we have waited years, but things change really, really quickly. New softwares come up, they replace old ones. We still have the old ones that are out there, but there's always something changing. And that can be a challenge as a virtual assistant, especially working with an entrepreneur or a solopreneur who's seeing the same things we're seeing, who's getting kind of the pressure from the ads that they're getting, or from what they're seeing on social media, or the emails that they're getting. And they'll go from, hey, I'm using this CRM, to, I've just heard about this other one and it's all the things I need, and we need to switch to this one right now. And it can be a challenge as a virtual assistant, right? Like, you feel like you're getting your footing, and all of a sudden, like, we're changing things. And that's how business goes, right? It zigs, it zags, it flows. So for us to be able to stay on top of it and adapt it's a skill that we look for when we hire, but it's also something that we help our team members with. So when they start with us, they go through a mentorship program, because we acknowledge there's no way that one single virtual assistant is going to be able to figure out how to run all of the programs of their 2 to 3, 4 sometimes clients that they're working with. So we put them through mentorship so that they meet with a mentor once a week to say, hey, these are the things that are going on. How do I do this? How do I navigate that? And then we also have a group chat where everybody works together, and it also builds a sense of community for our team to come together and say, hey, I'm really having this problem. Has anybody faced it before? Has anybody used this CRM before? So on a regular basis, this morning we were talking about a program I've never heard of, Hobby Copy, which I don't know what it is. I haven't Googled it yet, but somebody on the team says, has anybody heard of this? And it allows the team to be like, oh yeah, my client uses it, we hate it. My client uses it, we love it, to kind of give feedback. That gives our clients so much knowledge base. So our clients are hiring our firm, and they're working one-on-one with one assistant, but they're getting all of the knowledge of our entire team. So in summary, the challenge is the changing nature of the things we have to learn, and we've really overcome it by letting our team work together to teach each other.
Yeah, that's amazing, right? When I get this one assistant who I can build a rapport with, who I can learn her working style, his working style, and they can learn my working style. And then we become this unstoppable force. But at the same time, I have access to all this other knowledge because of the network that this one person is a part of. So that's awesome. I love that. And look, and so that's why I was saying earlier about the changes. There's plenty of changes happening within your business that's keeping you just boom, 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 staying on top of things because
Yeah.
yes, technology is changing so rapidly. It is ridiculous. Like
It's mind-boggling. It's
it
mind-boggling.
is. And AI has made it to where it's just it's so different, right? Because AI is making it change even quicker than what it was before. I mean, at least it used to be an annual thing in terms of technology turnover. And now it seems like every 3 months or so, it's something new, something new, something new. Oh, that's old technology. It's like, wait, but it just came out last week. It's old now.
Yeah. We actually, with AI, like, at the beginning of 2023, when ChatGPT kind of hit the scene, we we wrote a policy on AI and how we could and couldn't use it for our clients. And within 3 months of that policy, we had to scrap it and start over on the policy because I was like, it is not going to fit with the way that this is evolving and the way that it's going to be used. So we've kind of like we revisit it. We talk to the team about it. How are you using it? How are you comfortable using it? Have you learned anything about it? And we kind of like group share that so that we can base our policies on how the technology is changing. So it went from really like don't use it. We're not really like we're not sure what it's going to look like. Like don't use it to do all the copywriting for your clients to okay, we can develop it as a really great tool to help our clients, come up with ideas, outline their blog posts and, come up with things that they need that they can write and fill in the blanks to be the thought leader that they want to be in their industry.
Yeah, and if nothing else, it's almost like a sentence starter. I think about when
Mhm.
in a classroom because my
Yep.
background is education, and so
Mhm.
you think about the little sentence starters that you have around the classroom that helps you get started with your writing. And so,
Mhm.
I love to think of AI as that sentence starter because it's going to give me a starting point. And while it cannot write it for me in my voice, it can get close, but nothing's going to write in my voice but me. And
Yeah.
so it can help me to kind of put my thoughts together and make it into something really, really good.
Right. It's
But
a prompt. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And sometimes you just need help getting started, and that's really all it is.
It's like
So
journaling. I get my tarot cards in the morning and I lay out my 3 tarot cards and I read what they're all about. And like that gets prompts for me in my brain to journal what I'm feeling and what's going on with me. So I think of it as the same way. It can create a prompt so that you can really get what's in your brain out onto paper.
I love it. Love it, love it. I love start my day like that too, to get like what can I expect for this day? What should I be looking for? What are some good things? What are some things that I maybe need to watch out for? So that's awesome. Well, so tell us what are some things that you're looking forward to in your business? Like what future plans do you have for
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said earlier kind of like there's change within the business, right? Because I have been doing this for 4 years and I think like nothing has changed and it's all the same. But when I look back, like things have changed substantially. I started as just myself, alone in an office, worried about a pandemic, starting this business to where we are now, which is this week we hired our 18th and 19th employees. So there's a lot of growth, there's a lot of change. Last year, I stopped doing client work. Client work was something I held on to for a long time until we kind of the business got to a point where I could have a salary. Last year, my a friend of mine came on as our COO. She gave up client work at the beginning of this year because we got to the point where she could do that. And we're so busy that it was like perfect timing, because we're both like, we're working too many hours. So I'm excited about the change. I'm excited to watch the evolution of the business, the evolution of our team members, right? Like some of them come on as not really knowing the virtual assistant space, to moving on to be the online business manager for our clients. And then we bring in additional assistants for them to oversee. So there's this constant change, there's constant evolution. And like I said, I love change. I love things moving forward. So that's what I'm excited for. I'm also excited to get out and share with, because everything is opening back up, right? Like I know we've been out of the pandemic for a while, but this year has really just been like, my networking group went from like 10 people to like 45 at events. Like it's just really blowing up. And I'm excited to get out and tell business owners how River City Virtual Assistants can help them. We can help them find that freedom. We can help them find the balance. And they don't have to do it all. We're here to help. So.
Oh, you heard that, guys? You don't have to do it all. Just because you can does not mean you should. And
Great.
trust me, when you are trying to grow and scale, you simply cannot. There are too many moving parts, and it is just impossible to be all the things at one time. So I absolutely love it. I am so thankful that you were able to come on today and share some of your journey with us. Talk to us about your company. It sounds like you guys are really doing some amazing things over there. If people want to get in touch with you, if they want to learn more about your services, how do they get in touch with you?
Yes, rivercity-va.com is our website. We are also on LinkedIn, and I'm on LinkedIn, Katie Santoro on LinkedIn. It's really the best way. All of those spots will give you a link to book a call and talk with me or our partner development specialist. We are all about problem solving. So even if you aren't necessarily looking for a virtual assistant right now, maybe you're wondering how a virtual assistant could help your business, so that you can plan those next steps in your budgeting for later on in the year. Feel free to reach out. We can talk about what we can do, what we can't do, and we can get the ball rolling and helping you figure out what can be handed off, so that when you're ready and it's within the budget, you can hand it off and get some freedom back for yourself.
That's amazing, guys. So if you are trying to put the pieces together and you need someone to help you do that, reach out to Katie, because I'm sure she has an assistant that can help you. And her assistants, Katie, I want you to tell them really quickly what is so different about River City Virtual Assistants, because this is the thing that really kind of really got me with her company. Because a lot of times we see virtual assistants, from the Philippines, from India, from other countries, but Katie really had something else in mind here. So tell us really quickly about that.
Yeah, so we were really focused on, at the time, keeping women in the workforce. It's since evolved into parents and caretakers, which is mostly women, but everybody is US based. We're mostly in Virginia, North Carolina, and Texas. So we all are within the US, college educated or similar experience. So you're getting someone who has the professionalism, has a background in, maybe not in admin, but maybe in HR or another field, that they bring into it. So you're just getting really reliable, really consistent US based assistance. And it was really important to us to keep it US based, because we saw the need within our own communities and within our own friend groups, to create employment. So.
I love it, love it, love it. And you get someone who maybe only is 1 or 2 time zones ahead or behind you, instead of trying to kind of work around another schedule. Because it kind of seems like a lot of virtual assistants are in the Philippines, and their time zone is really weird. Like during our day, it's like nighttime over there. And so
Yeah.
it just
and
makes
there's
it easier.
Yeah, and there can also be a really big like cultural difference, which can, in the way that business is done, which can make a little bit of a difficulty. And if it works for you, it works for you. Like that is great. I want people to hire the assistant that works best for them. But if
Yeah.
you're interested in working with a US based company that's really interested in putting money back into our communities, then we are the team for you.
Yeah, I love it. And like Katie said, you have to do what works best for you and your budget. But I just thought it was really, really commendable that she focused on putting women, putting caretakers back into the workforce because they needed this flexible arrangement, but they also still needed to bring some income in. So I love it, love it, love it. Again, one more time, Katie, how do they get in touch with you?
At our website, rivercity-va, as in virtual assistant.com. So rivercity-va.com.
All right, guys, you heard her. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. It has been such a pleasure. And until next time, guys, on the Spring Forward podcast.
Thank you, Spring.